The hallway buzzed with the usual morning energy of Westfield High. Lockers slammed. Voices echoed. Football players in Letterman jackets moved through the crowd like they owned the place. Sarah Kensington stood at her locker, spinning the combination. Right next to hers was Bo Lawrence's. The school had approved their request for adjacent lockers at the beginning of the year, a quiet privilege that came with being the head cheerleader and the star quarterback. Bo appeared beside her, leaning one shoulder against the metal as he opened his own locker. "Hey," he said, voice easy. "Missed you after practice the other day." Sarah kept her eyes on her books for a second longer than necessary. "Yeah, I had some stuff to take care of." Bo pulled out a textbook and closed the door with a soft clang. He turned to face her fully, still smiling, but there was a slight edge under the casual tone. "You disappeared. Completely. One of the guys said they saw you leave campus early. Everything okay?" Sarah finally looked up at him. She was good at this, smiling, charming, deflecting. Years of being the most popular girl in school had trained her well. "I'm fine," she said lightly. "Just needed some air. You know how it gets sometimes." Bo studied her for a moment, still leaning against the locker. "You sure everything's good? You just vanished. Not like you." Sarah closed her locker and adjusted the strap of her bag. She gave him a soft smile, the one that usually made everything better. "I'm sure. Don't worry about it." Bo held her gaze a second longer, then nodded and leaned in to kiss her cheek. "All right, see you at lunch?" "Yeah," she replied. "Lunch." He walked off down the hallway, blending back into the crowd of Letterman jackets. Sarah stayed at her locker for a moment longer, her hand still resting on the cool metal. Her heart was beating faster than she wanted to admit. Across the hallway, half hidden by a group of students, Eddie Stackhouse watched the entire exchange. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes never left her. Bo disappeared into the crowd of Letterman jackets, leaving the space beside Sarah empty. Eddie waited a few seconds, then crossed the hallway. Students moved around him, but he barely noticed. His eyes stayed locked on her. Sarah looked up as he approached. The moment she saw him, a soft, private smile appeared, the kind she hadn't shown anyone else that morning. "Hey," she said quietly. "Hey." They stood close, the noise of the hallway wrapping around them like a barrier. For a second, it almost felt like they were back on the bluff again. Sarah tilted her head slightly. "I was wondering if you were going to come over." Eddie glanced down the hallway in the direction Bo had gone, then back at her. "I wasn't sure if I should." Something in his tone made her smile fade just a little. "Why?" she asked. Eddie hesitated. He could still feel the weight of her hand in his from the day before, the way she had leaned against him, the kiss that still hadn't left his mind. But standing here, in the middle of Westfield High, with Bo's locker right next to hers, everything felt different. "You and Bo," he started, then stopped. "People see you two a certain way, like you're already set, king and queen of this place." Sarah's expression softened, but there was a flicker of something else, surprise, maybe even a little frustration. "That doesn't mean—" "I know," Eddie said quickly. I don't want to make things harder for you than they already are." The words hung between them. Sarah searched his face, clearly trying to read how serious he was. The warmth from earlier was still there, but a new distance had started to form. She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again as the bell rang. Students began flooding past them. Eddie took a small step back. "I should go." Sarah watched him for a second longer, her voice quieter now. "Eddie?" But he was already turning, blending into the moving crowd before she could say more. Sarah stayed at her locker, staring after him, the soft smile completely gone. The cafeteria was loud in the way only a high school lunch period could be. Trays clattered, laughter rose and fell. The popular table near the center of the room was full. Football players, cheerleaders, The usual circle that formed around Beau and Sarah every day. Beau was in the middle of a story about practice, gesturing with a French fry as the guys around him laughed. Sarah sat beside him, smiling at the right moments, nodding when expected. But her mind was somewhere else entirely. She kept seeing the bluff. The way Eddie had looked at her when he told her the truth. The way his hand had felt in hers. The kiss. Beau's voice faded in and out around her. And Coach almost lost it when Jackson fumbled again. I swear, if he doesn't get it together before Friday... Sarah wasn't really listening. One by one, the others at the table started clearing their trays and drifting off to class or the courtyard. The noise around them thinned until it was just the two of them left. Beau leaned forward, still relaxed, still completely unaware. "You okay?" he asked, noticing the quiet. "You've been kind of out of it today." Sarah looked up at him. For a long second, she just studied his face. The familiar, easy smile, the confidence that had always made him the center of everything. He was a good guy. He really was. But he wasn't Eddie. She took a slow breath. "Beau?" she said quietly. He waited, still expecting something small. A complaint about class, maybe, or a comment about the upcoming game. Sarah met his eyes directly. "We need to talk." The words landed between them like a stone dropped into still water. Beau's smile faded. The actual conversation between Sarah and Beau stayed between them. Whatever was said, the rest of the cafeteria never heard a word of it. A few minutes later, Beau Lawrence walked out of the lunchroom, looking like someone had quietly removed the floor from under him. His usual easy confidence was gone. He moved slower than normal, eyes unfocused, like he was still replaying the last few minutes in his head. Jackson, one of his teammates, spotted him near the water fountain and immediately stepped in front of him. "Yo, you good?" he asked. Beau stopped. For a second, he didn't answer. He just stared past Jackson at nothing in particular. "I don't know," he finally said. His voice was quiet, almost flat. "I think Sarah just broke up with me." Jackson blinked. "Wait, what?" Beau shook his head slowly, still trying to process it. "She said we needed to talk. And then, yeah, I think we're done." Jackson stood there, stunned. By the time he turned around to say something to the other guys, the words were already leaving his mouth. And once they did, there was no stopping them. The news moved through Westfield High like wildfire. By the time the next period started, versions of the story were already spreading. Some people said Sarah dumped him. Others claimed Beau had cheated. A few insisted they were just taking a break. None of it mattered. The only thing that stuck was the core fact. The golden couple was over. In the courtyard, Beau sat on the low brick wall near the flagpole, staring at the ground. A couple of his teammates hovered nearby, not quite sure what to say. That was when Brittny Sinclair made her move. She crossed the courtyard with perfect timing, her expression carefully arranged into concern. She didn't rush, she didn't smile too wide. She played it just right. "Oh my God, Beau," she said softly as she reached him. She placed a gentle hand on his arm. "I just heard the news." Beau looked up at her, still half in a daze. Brittny tilted her head, her voice warm and full of sympathy. "Are you okay? You don't have to talk if you don't want to. But I'm here, seriously." Around them, students were already watching. Whispers moved through the courtyard like a current. The king and queen of Westfield High were done, and Brittny Sinclair had just positioned herself as the first one ready to pick up the pieces.